glue. You just put everything together. You just make everything stick.
You said you wanted to help people get high on branding.
It's your job to get people so high that they cannot see anything other than what you're doping them up on. Like really, that everybody wants to be used. We have to know what we're offering. You can't use things that you're unaware of, or you can't be used in ways that you are unaware of. It's a real transaction because there's a whole conversation happening at the ATM. Because yes, it's such a powerful word, and it also is a complete sentence.
Okay, so welcome to another episode of the Transform Podcast. If you're looking for ways to transform your health, wealth, and relationships, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe. Excited to be here today. I'm here with Tollisha, best-selling author, international renowned speaker, and also a networking strategist.
Absolutely.
Right, Tollisha?
That is right. That is right.
So happy to be here with you today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a long time coming,
Yes.
but we made it.
Yeah, we made it. That's what matters, right? Here to have a conversation today, get to know more about you, and just make sure that this is an incredible interview. Why don't you tell me about you to start?
Yeah, so first I'll say my name is Tollisha Joseph. I am the founder and CEO of The Official Glue, and I help individuals master the art of networking so that they can get on the yes side of their business. I started this business because I have two children, two boys that I love so much, and I just recognize that it's hard for people to be social in an effective way. And now that we're in this transition in digital space, we kind of just threw a loop. 2020 just rolled us into a new idea.
The world changed.
It definitely did. It flipped upside down, right? But it also opened opportunities for us to kind of optimize the digital space. And so now we're really helping individuals focus on how they can network completely in real life and in digital life.
Perfect. So tell me, you mentioned something that's quite interesting to me, that networking is difficult. Why do you think it's so difficult for people to network or to understand what networking really is and to go out there and do it?
I think it's hard for people to network because they have compartmentalized like when it should happen. So, you know, we feel like we have to live two separate lives. Like we got to be our relaxed person at the gym and at the grocery store, and then we have to put on this business persona when we go into our business world. But honestly, you just need to bring yourself to the table. I hate the word authenticity, so I hate that. I mean, I really don't like it because we're using it in an inauthentic way.
Right.
I mean, obviously, I'm not going to show up as the person I am in my home with my family and my husband in any situation, because those spaces are sacred to me, and I want to be able to let everything down in those spaces. But we don't have to compartmentalize how we move in the world. Networking happens everywhere. I think it's more important for us to know what our values are and what we bring to the table, and that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Fantastic response, by the way.
Thank you.
So how do we bring, right, without bringing you to the word that you hate, right? How do we become our most authentic selves at home, out there? How do we become that person?
I think it definitely has to do with personal development. You have to develop as a person in order to be your authentic self. But I think the reason why I have such a struggle with this word is because we're always growing. We said that like we're always growing, we're always evolving. Like who I was yesterday is not who I am today because I learned some things yesterday. I had some experience yesterday. So I think this idea of authenticity, like you are evolutionary. You're always changing, you're always growing, and your authentic might be different in an hour. Sure. It might be different. So when we're thinking about authenticity and we're thinking about it in this linear way of like, this is my authentic, well, that's not true. We are evolutionary. We're human beings. We have a lot of different variables to us, and we have to just understand how to work in the variable.
Very true. Very, very true.
Yeah.
Let's pause here for a minute. I just want to double check something. I'll clip that out. Yeah, it's perfect. I just wanted to make sure the audio was good, but I'll just clip this piece.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. So, Tollisha, let's do something.
Uh-huh.
I love where we're going,
okay,
but I don't want to jump too far ahead. Why don't you take me back? Take me back to you becoming an author, a speaker, the official glue. Give me the outline. How did that happen?
Oh, so random. It all happened so randomly. It's a random tandem. Okay. So I guess where do I start? Okay, I'm gonna give you this sped up version to the point.
Of course.
So sped up version is I've worked a lot of different jobs in my life. I've been working since I was 13 years old, so I have a lot of experience with people. I've always been the girl who has gotten a job before the application. So I've always just used my personality and my wit to kind of get me into spaces. So that's one thing. I've always been a communicator. I remember when I was like 2, and people would always be like, you talk so much, you talk so much, you got so much to say. So my last stint of work, I was working at a restaurant because I got pregnant with my younger son, and before that I was an arbitrator, so I was doing a lot of negotiation, power moves, that
Oh,
stuff.
there we go.
And then I quit so I could be a mom.
Okay.
Right. And so in that transition, I wound up working at a restaurant because I'm like, hell, I serve my family every day. I can do this. And it was great. I made $60,000 on a part-time gig for the year. And I was like, this is amazing. I can live this life forever. Like, I can do this. But it's hard on your body. Like, you don't want to do that forever. And then I kind of, this is where the corporate split happened for me, where I love the independence of being a server because you are in charge of your own. It's like you're running an independent corporation within a corporation. I hated the corporation. I hated it.
The box.
I hated the box, right? And I was kind of in this divided space. Like, I love this part, but I hate this part. And so the entrepreneurial itch got me. It got me real good. It was like, ooh, you can figure out something to do, girl. And so I started to do my own introspection. I before I even thought of what I wanted to do, I started to write down all the things that I have already done. And I started to document like all the memories that I had from as far as I could remember back. And the earliest memory I had was at 2. And then I started to connect my own dots. Like, what am I absolutely good at? Like, what have I been doing since I was 2? And so some of the things that I recognized that I've been doing since I was 2 years old was talking to people. I've been talking since I was 2. I've been ushering people. At 6, I had a memory of when I was in elementary school. We got a new neighbor, and they were new to the school, and I like took him under my wing, and I took him around, and I showed him the school, and I guided him on the bus, and I sat next to him, so he was like, I've just been an usherer, right? And so I've been a communicator. I've negotiated. I have great friends. I have this capability of building good relationships. So I'm like, okay, this is something, because I've been doing it my entire life.
Right.
How do I monetize this thing? How do I make this into something, a business? And then probably the week that I decided I'm going to leave the job, I challenged myself to have 20 intentional conversations. So I made the decision that I want to be an entrepreneur, but I was scared, like what people do. They just are like, I don't know if I could do this, and I don't know if I could do what it requires me to do. Like, I'm a communicator, of course, but I like to communicate to people that I know.
Right.
This is going to require me to talk to people that I don't know. Am I capable of doing that? So I went to work every day, 30 minutes early. I sat in the food court, and I would just pick people at random and tell them what I was trying to do, and then be like, well, I just want to know about you. Tell me about you. I'm interested. And I had some really interesting conversations, but I made a deal with myself, and I said, if I can do this 20 times, if I can get to 20 conversations, I'm quitting my job. And I did. On my 20th conversation, I quit my job, and I started my business.
Was 20 arbitrary, or?
I don't know why 20 was the number. I just kind of got the feeling like, if I can do this 20 times, I can do it. I can do it all the time. If I could do it 20 times and not get scared in the middle of doing it or get discouraged. And honestly, what happened was every conversation encouraged me to go back tomorrow to see who I would meet in the food court of the mall, right? So when I say networking happens everywhere, it happens everywhere. Like, and I think I just had to challenge myself to actually live my own work first and be like, well, if I'm going to tell people that networking happens everywhere, I need to prove that networking can happen everywhere to myself first. I need to be able to do it, have really great conversations, really sit down with people in the middle of the chaos. No one's really trying to have these deep conversations in the middle of the mall.
Very
Like
true.
people come to the mall to escape life mentally. They don't come to like face life. So we were having some really deep conversations. Like I sat down with a man and he was telling me about his marriage. I sat down with two women and they were nursing school and they were telling me about that. Like we were having some really good conversations. So good that I can remember them 7 years later, right? And I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to have really good conversations with people and really make great connections with people and usher them to their promise. I want to be an usher for my life. So that's how we got there. And then the name of my business was actually given to me by my clients in the restaurant. So they would sit down and they'd be like, girl, you the glue. You just put everything together. You just make everything stick. And then my grandmother will always tell me from young, she'd be like, you know, you guys have to stick together. Like our family, I grew up in a pretty big family. Like I have 7 cousins.
Wow.
And we all lived in the same house at one point. So 13 people lived in a house for like years. So big family. But she would always tell us like, you don't have friends, you have family. You guys have to stick together. You gotta, you know, you are the glue of the family. You are the one who keeps this thing together, you know? And she would always say stuff like that. So it just stuck with me. And when I thought about like what I want to name my business, I was like, this name was given to me. I didn't choose it. It was just the name that has always been with me, and now it's activated.
Resonated with you.
Yeah. Well, it's activated now. It's my clients told me this. My grandmother told me this. Like, maybe the sign was this was my business all along. I just needed to activate it now.
That's so cool.
We're activating.
Yeah, that's so cool and so powerful because not only you took me through the story of how you got from starting off to becoming a business owner, but also some of the struggles too, like some of the fears.
Yeah.
So why don't you walk me through that? What did it take to overcome those fears? Walk me through the mindset, maybe those limiting beliefs. How do you break away from those things?
I think I'm a rare breed, honestly. I'm really like rare. And I think in that area of introspection, just going and documenting my memories gave me the confidence because it showed me that I've done it already.
Okay, yeah.
So when I started to do it in this way, I was already confident that I was able to do it. The fear was in me, it was in how I would be received. And so that part, when I already have the confidence because I know what I'm doing, I've done it 180,000 times. Now I'm just putting this in a new container, right? That's the fear. The fear, what we face in business is, especially entrepreneurs, is we're moving our skills from here to there. Like we're doing these things every day in an office, or
Right.
we're doing these things every day in our lives. But when we have to make the transition and apply them here, it's like, will it be received well? That's the fear. The fear is how will other people see it?
Got it.
And so the test was to get in the face of it, face the fear. Really, I had to sit down with 20 people and see how they would receive what I was saying. Because the fear was, will they receive it? Not, can I do it?
Right. Because you already have proof of that.
Yes, the proof. So half of the battle is being confident in your own ability. The other half is stepping out and actually activating your ability and then being willing to be judged in it. Like you have to be willing to see how people are going to receive it in order to know where you need to make the adjustments. And I think that is a beautiful space to be in, especially like 20 people. I've probably talked to 20,000 people by now, but 20 people, it sounds like scary.
Yeah. Like the biggest mountain to climb.
But no one's watching me,
Yeah.
right? No one's watching me. No one cares about what I was doing in the mall. The only people who cared about what I was doing in the mall was the people I was talking to in the mall. Like, there was not a crowd around me saying, oh, she's doing this crazy thing. Like, and I think we kind of make these small scenarios huge in our minds, and then that all of that weight removes us from the situation. It takes us out of it, and it creates setbacks for us. Well, we have to kind of face things one piece at a time. One piece. Like, one piece was, let me sit down and talk to you. That's it.
Right.
Like, I can't focus on
everything else going on.
everything that's going on around, because if I did and I started to look left and I started to look right, then I would get nervous and I would bow out. I'd be like, oh, I can't do this. The crowd's too big. Right? But I wanted to be in the crowd. So how am I going to be able to be a speaker? How am I going to be able to impact lives? How am I going to be able to transform people if I can't even have the conversation? How? So if I wanted to do this was just part of the things that I needed to do what I wanted to do. So my desire to create the impact, to have the conversation, to make the changes overweighed whatever fear I was going to face by doing it. And I think we have to stick to what we want. What do you want? And I know we always say, like, find your why, but what do you want? And if you cannot stick to what you want, you're never going to make it into the next thing, because everything about it is going to be too scary. But is it worth it? All of the results that you can create, is it worth it? I say it's totally worth it, because I've impacted so many people. And if I didn't have that conversation in the mall, I would never have that type of impact.
That's an incredible perspective, by the way. And if I heard you right, I think like the reason why I even want to summarize this is because it was impactful to me. If I heard you right, I think you said that you don't want to wait to have the impact you want to have, and that a lot of the times all these things are just things that you have in your mind, but in reality you don't even know what the answer will be, right? So why be scared of taking the first step?
Yeah.
And doing it.
Yeah. We have to be in an opportunistic mindset. We got to see everything as an opportunity. And if we look at things through the lens of failures, we're never going to try anything. If we could see our failures before we can see our opportunities, we are going to be in fear all the time, and we are going to always be set back. We have to start opening our mind to opportunity. Hence why it is to get people on the yes side of their business. People who see things in an opportunistic viewpoint are more inclined to say yes. They're more inclined to say yes. People who are fearful are more inclined to say no, because they can think of everything that they can say no to. Right. They'll be like, nope, I can't. Nope, can't do that. Nope, nope, can't do that. They can't even see the yes in it. I'm here to help people see that there is more yeses in life than there are no's.
Of course.
Yeah.
But tell me about that, because that's an interesting concept. A lot of people would sit down and say, you know what, opportunistic, that has like a negative connotation.
Sure.
So explain me more. Tell me what that means to you.
A lot of things that I say have a negative connotation, because I'm kind of cracking the code on networking. So, I'm kind of like the rebellious breed here. But I think, one, I will say that everybody wants to be used. And that's like another, oh, you're really going to ride them now, right? But everybody wants to be used. If we're really out here saying that we're on a mission to find our purpose, what purpose is it for you to find your purpose if you're not going to attach yourself to somebody to use it, right? So we all want to be used. We have to know that first, that we want to be used. And then the other side is we have to look for the opportunities to be used, right? So opportunistic. If we already are under the impression, I want you to use me up, take advantage of all of the things that I can provide you. And then I want you to see me as an opportunity for you so that I can do all the things that make me great. If you don't see that an opportunity here, then I can't help you. Like, how can I help you if you don't even see it as an opportunity for yourself? So we have to be opportunistic. We got to be out here looking for people who can provide us with opportunities. We have to be able to see the value in people and use it.
So when you say that, just to make sure that I understood you right, people want to be used in the sense that they have a value that they want to provide to you.
Exactly.
You just need to know, hey, I'm willing to receive it.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And I mean, there's being used, and I do think that this word has two sides. There is a head and there's a tail. Nobody wants to be abused. People want to be used. You don't want to abuse people. You don't want to take them and then kind of wet rag them, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody wants that experience, but people absolutely want to be used. And entrepreneurs want to be used even more, right? We want to. And we want you, viewer, the person who's sitting on the other side of the seat, to see all of the opportunities that live in my body. I need you to see that. Honestly, it's not even a want. I need you to see me as a valuable opportunity, because once you see me in that way, you are going to find ways to use me. You are going to connect me with people who can use me up. You are going to make me stick to everything that I possibly can. So I want people to see me as an opportunity. I want people to see me as a value add. And I think this other concept of, add value, right? We say this like, we have control of this.
But what does it really mean, right?
We don't have control over that. Like, we all believe that we have valuable things, but what I deem to be valuable might not be valuable to you.
Correct.
So how do we add value?
We need to find out what's valuable to you.
To
then provide
here
it.
we go. Look at you listening, right? We have to find out what other people value. Hence this lovely idea of the discovery call. Well, discovery calls happen in any conversation. So when people tell you things like you should be interested and listen more and say all these freaking cliche ideas, absolutely you should be listening to people. But I think we have to guide people into telling us the things that we absolutely need to listen to, because there are things that I need to hear. And if I just let you talk, you're going to tell me everything but what I need to hear. So I have to guide you in conversation so that you can get me to a place where I can figure out what you value and how I can use it and what opportunities you have available so that I can take advantage of them. I have to guide you in the conversation. We can't just be out here saying, sure, yeah, that sounds great, because then we're wasting time.
Very true.
Right? Our job as entrepreneurs is to guide. We're guides. No matter what profession you are in, I don't care what you're doing. If you are in the place where you are either selling products, promoting, so this branding, marketing, networking, if you are doing any of these things, your job, your first priority is to be a guide to the people that you're talking to and guide them in a direction that is going to lead them to valuable opportunities.
I could definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, I like to say that we're not in the business of like selling to anybody. We're in the business of helping people already make the decisions they already want to make.
Yeah.
So it's about guiding, just like you said.
It's a guided choice. Like, we are guiding people all day. We're not selling anybody anything, really. We're not convincing people of things. We're not prospecting. All these crazy ideas that we come up with. Our job is just to guide, and the way that you become an exceptional guide is you already know what it is that you want, right? And then you go out and you find it. You find what you want. And when you do that, you're opening the opportunity for people to share what they value. And then we get to see, do our values align? Are there things that we have in likeness, not in common, in likeness? And can we work with that? Can we work with that? Is there an opportunity for us to work together, or is there an opportunity for me to get you in a working environment somewhere where your skills will work? Like, we have variables. That's what I said earlier. We're variable human beings. What I need today might not be what I need tomorrow because somebody already satisfied that need for me.
Correct.
So needs are always changing. Wants are always changing. And that's why we always have to be communicating. We always have to network. We have to be outside.
Why do you think, this brings me to an interesting point, and I'm only going to ask you, like, you don't have to have the perfect answer to this, but why do you think humans as a whole resist change so much? Because you said we're always changing.
Yeah.
Like, you're not, in an hour from now, you might, after having this conversation, you might be a different person.
Sure. I mean, it's more likely that I will
Why do we
be a
resist
different
it?
person than because I can't leave this conversation the same,
Right.
right? Honestly, if you did what we all say, if you added value, I'm not the same. You've added to me. I'm actually more valuable after the conversation than I was before.
True.
So I am changed now, transformed through the podcast.
So maybe the question becomes, why do you think, like, people just resist change as a whole? Or maybe they just think they do, but in reality they don't, right?
I think that
Everybody wants to keep the status quo. They want to be here, they want to look back and be in the same place doing the same thing. Why is that so common amongst people?
I think that the answer to that is because we've been conditioned in that way. Like, you know, this is why the hardest part of being an entrepreneur is the mind of an entrepreneur. That is probably the biggest struggle that any entrepreneur has, is getting out of their own head about things. And it's because in order to be in this field of independence, I won't even call it entrepreneurship. I'm going to call it a field of independence, where you are the nucleus to everything that happens around you. You're the center. And I always say that networking is the one space in the world where the world absolutely revolves around you, because you get to control, you get to create. I think of like Dexter's Laboratory, kind of like, yeah, I'm Mad Dexter, right? And we get to create our experiences. And that's scary.
Yeah.
Because our mind could take us in experiences that are like dangerous, or our mind could take us into experiences that are euphoric, right? Our mind could keep us in containment. So we attach ourselves to things that we know so that we can not get out of control.
Got it.
Right? And so entrepreneurship, in my experience, is an area of relinquishing that idea of self-control. Like, it's an uncontrollable narrative. You don't know what's happening every day. There's so many variables to this experience. And we want structure. We desire it. As human beings, we want boundaries, we want rules, we want a lot of these things, but we don't want to be the creator of them, right? So the idea of comfort is having all the things that we want, but not having to be the creator of all of it.
Got
right?
it. Just
so
somebody to hand you the rule book.
Tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship is an oxymoron to that idea. So I don't think that everybody in the world has a problem with change. I think that entrepreneurs have a problem with change because it requires you to think outside of that box. It requires you to get creative. It requires you to do things that aren't comfortable. It requires you to have conversations that you're not comfortable with having with people that you possibly don't even know. It requires you to do a lot of things. So are you willing to do what is required to do the work that you desire?
To get comfortable in the uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about that process. Tell me about the mindset. How do you get there? You've told me a lot of your story, but how do you one day just jump from being working to, like, I'm gonna go do my own business? Because you said motherhood had to play with that, but like you just described it, it's a lot of mindset. So what was the actual trigger point?
I I think honestly, I would never advise anybody to do what I did because I'm a crazy girl, and I never advise anybody to do it the way that I did. I actually in the book that I authored in, I shared the story. I had a panic attack, a really really bad one. I couldn't hear, I couldn't see. It was just it was so bad, and I never had a panic attack before in my life. So I was like, oh my
Wow.
God, what is going on? I thought I was gonna die.
Was this at the restaurant?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna die. And what really pulled the trigger for me was the response that I got from my management team around this episode. And so I wrote about this in the book that I authored in Sacred Spaces, because we had to write like what our sacred space. But I chose to share this because I believe that a lot of people suffer with anxiety, and I think anxiety is not a bad thing. It's something that we all have,
Right.
but we have to learn how to manage it well.
Absolutely.
And in the construction of what we are in right now in this containment, it's like heightened. So I love to talk about it when I have an opportunity, but I was desperate to find something else to do. Like I felt like if I didn't choose me, I was going to die.
Wow.
Like if I didn't do something that was gonna make me happy every day, I was not gonna be available to be parenting my children anymore.
Wow.
Like I really felt it so deeply that this work was going to kill me.
So would you define that as finding purpose?
I
Were
don't
you
know.
trying to find purpose?
I don't know if it was finding purpose. I know I needed to find a new place.
Got it. Okay.
Right? I just need to find a new place. Like I think because of the desire to find a new place, I had the wisdom to kind of reveal my purpose, right?
Okay.
Because I did that introspection and wrote down every memory that I had to figure out what I could do, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm skilled at. So I guess here we go with the multiple streams of income and charge your worth conversation. There's so many things that I can do. I mean, I can do makeup, I can do hair, I can cook, I can sew, I have so many talents and gifts, but not all of them I want to make available to the public, right? These are not all ideas that I want to share with the world. Some of these things are just for my family's use, not for the world's consumption. I needed to know what I wanted to share with the world. And so in order for me to find that, I had to go through my own history, write down my own history, and then research my own history and figure out what have I been doing consistently from the earliest time that I can remember that I'm like doing, and I don't even recognize that I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I think when we spoke about this earlier today, I think that what I gathered from that is that competence creates confidence.
Sure.
You had done this so much, was one of your skills, natural skills.
Yeah.
So then you were extremely confident on believing, hey, I could definitely do this. Because I mean, I've been doing it since I was 2 years old.
Since I was 2, right? And when you have that revelation, it's like, wow, I've been doing this since I was 2. Now it's like strategy comes into play, because now you got to strategically figure out how you're going to monetize this intuitive sense. How can I make money doing this? How can I be creative with this idea? How can I structure it where I'm not giving away too much of myself in doing it? Because remember, I said I had a panic attack, and part of this was to take care of me first. I need to be good to myself so that I could be here for my family. And if I get myself into situations that are not comfortable, frustrate me, stress me out, make me lose my hair, then I'm just repeating a cycle. I'm just getting right back into a corporate box.
Right.
And I'm just saying it's my own, which is something I find happens with a lot of entrepreneurs. We'll get out of corporation because we got into this extremely frustrated place with the corporate structure, and then we jump into our own entrepreneurship journey and we repeat the same bad habits.
Yeah, they just create a job for themselves rather than
now your working schedule's a 9 to 5, but the one thing I hated the most is waking up early. So why would I do that to myself?
Right.
Or having to, do a lot of paperwork. I don't like to do paperwork. So why the hell am I going to make myself do paperwork? Like, why would I do these things to myself? So as much as you need to know what you can do, you also need to know what you don't want to do, right? Because you don't want to put that stuff into your business and have to suffer doing it because you've prepared a space for it. So another thing that I help my clients really go through is to sift this thing. We call it the edit. Understanding what you want to do just as much as what you can do, right?
Oh, okay.
Just as much as what you can do, because we can do all things,
Right.
but we don't want to do all things. And sometimes we'll just innately do all things because we believe that this is part of the thing that we have to do in order to be successful. This is part of the thing that we must do in order to. Well, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. If you create a strategy around the things that you want to do, you get to do more of what you want. That's one yes.
Intentionality. Yes, one yes.
That's one yes, right? You get to do more of what you want in the structure of which you love. So now work becomes a yes, not a no. That's the second yes, because I absolutely love what I do and I'm willing to do it all the time.
Right.
Paid or unpaid, I'm willing to do it because I love it, right? And then because you are in such a euphoric state of your business, you're attracting more opportunities, right? So now that's the third yes. You get
The glue.
You get to say yes all the time because now you show up in a way that is attractive to people because you're not exhausted by the work that you're doing because you are doing more of what you want to do.
So it closes the loop.
It's a whole cyclone, right? And so I help people find that sweet spot, that stickiness. I call it the sticky substance, That's part of the glue, Every glue that you have from Elmer's to Gorilla has an additive in there that allows it to stick. It just doesn't stick because it's glue. Like it's a chemical creation. There's a lot of product that goes in there, but there's one thing in that product that allows it to adhere. So I help you find that one thing in your product that allows you to adhere to your market. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, immense value alert. Why don't you tell me, right, for the networkers out there, some nuggets that you could give them about how to become a better networker, how to extract more value.
You know what I'm going to do? Because we did have a conversation, I'm going to test you.
Test me.
What did I share with you?
Well, you shared with me that I'm supposed to find out more about you before I could become more valuable to you. That's one of the things you shared.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be extremely committed to the things that I can and want to do. Hence, I'll continue to do them for longer. And it's just a matter of commitment also. Like I need to stay committed to what I really want to achieve and go do that.
So I love that. And going on your nugget, I'm going to say that the one thing that we probably don't do that we probably should do more is be committed to networking. We can't quit because things are looking great, right? Business is booming. We got clients, our calendar's full. And then we're like, oh, we don't need to do that anymore because it served me, right? Because networking is a marketing strategy. You can't stop marketing your business. You have to always network. You got to be committed to networking and doing it. And networking doesn't necessarily mean going to events. Like the thing that has happened because of the beautiful 2020 is that we've gotten a new perspective on how we can do things. And we have to learn how to utilize the whole space, not just one. Utilizing our in real life space and our digital life space. We are in a duality now.
Yeah.
So are you optimizing the duality and compounding the experiences that you're creating for people? And don't 50% your opportunities because you're only willing to do 50% of the scope. You're only willing to work in half of the scope, right? So We have to be committed. And I don't mean commitment in this like shallow, like what you hear on social media way, like, oh, consistency and, do it every day because it's just gonna, like, no.
One day it will work out, right?
Yeah, like, do it. The more you do it, the more, like, that's not what I mean. I mean, one, be committed to making connections.
Yeah.
True connections.
Strategy.
Be committed to having real conversations. Be committed to going to places that are going to have valuable opportunities in them.
Yeah.
That's the type of commitment I'm talking about. I don't go outside every day. I don't go outside unless I'm invited outside, honestly. I go outside when people are like, I want you to come. I want you to do this. Because I'm more valuable in the spaces that people usher me into. I have to recognize my value in spaces that I am unfamiliar with. So getting in the habit of being ushered and letting people lead you. This is another thing that we always say no to. When we get opportunities to go outside and go to events and go attend things, our thing is to say no because we're so busy. We have so much on our schedule. Oh, I can't right now because I need my peace. Like, come on, we need to go because someone said, I think that if you are in here, you will be valuable and the people in here will value you. So take advantage of that opportunity, right? We say no way too much, way too much. We say no to all the wrong things. We need to start saying yes more and being intentional about the way we use our power of yes. Because yes is such a powerful word, and it also is a complete sentence. Just say yes.
Love that. Love that. Tell me more. I love this subject. So why don't you tell me more on how you mentioned before about people wanting to be used? And I digested it and I'm still thinking about it. So tell me, how do you get you, right, as a person that has an intention on this meeting that you're going to? Like, you've already studied the audience, like you want to get in touch with specific people. How do you get them to let you use them?
I think when we think about being used, I think one thing we have to know is we have to know what we're offering. You can't use things that you're unaware of, or you can't be used in ways that you are unaware of. And this is another space that I think we kind of have trouble in because we'll allow people to create jobs for us, but we will not be assertive in our value. Make sense?
Yeah.
So entrepreneurs, what I said before, we have a lot of skills, right? I have people come to me and say, oh, I love your makeup. Who does it? I do it. Oh, so you do makeup? No, I don't, right? I don't. I do mine. I don't do yours, right? So that's an opportunity for somebody to use something that I don't want to give them. Don't want to give you that, right? I know what I want to offer. So we go into spaces and we have conversations that positions offers that we don't want people to use.
Got it. Okay. Now it clicked.
Yes.
Perfect.
So we have to know what we're propositioning in the space.
What your actual value proposition is for the receiver.
For the receiver.
So that you're not giving them the wrong message on what you're offering could be.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So we can't give poor messaging.
Yeah.
So the conversations start this cycle. And the other thing that we don't really pay attention to is how we are being shared, right? So the continuum of this lack of value space gets added to because we've had a conversation that propped up something that we don't want people to use. So if I do makeup for someone, I don't want to do makeup. I'm not a makeup artist, but they keep sharing me as a makeup artist, then I'm going to be in a position of doing makeup. Right? Yeah. I don't want to do that. So I'm not telling anybody this stuff. I'm not going out and marketing this unintentionally, right? Because someone said, oh, your makeup's nice. And my answer was, oh, thanks, I do it. Me saying I do it gives them the idea that I do it. And because it looks great, they're like, oh, she does a great job. Maybe she could do it for me. And now we're having a conversation about doing something that I don't want to do. So I'm not even going to put that conversation on the table. So we got to know what things we're going to put on the table and what things we're going to leave at home. Because some of you stays at home.
And that could work either way. You as the person having the conversation trying to extract some value, or as the person positioning value to the other person and then receiving the wrong message. It could work either way,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Very interesting.
Well, I mean, the other side of this, the other way is that people don't know how to use people. They don't know how to, right?
So how do we become more effective at using people?
You have to know how you want to use people. You got to know where you are missing pieces. What pieces are you missing? So we go out into the world and we don't even know what we're lacking, right? We allow other people to share what we're lacking. We're like, oh, well, you probably need this. And then they're like, oh, I never thought I needed that. Well, I need it,
So
right?
to illustrate this point in a simple way, because I think this is extremely valuable to the audience. I'm a banker, right? As you know.
Yeah.
So let's say I walk into this networking reception and I am just having conversations with people. To illustrate the point, let's just talk about a hypothetical scenario. And I am having a conversation with you as an example. You're saying that if I don't know what I'm looking for, in the sense, am I looking for a loan? Or am I looking for a client that brings me an account with $1 million? Or somebody that wants to get help in growing their business? If I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, I'm not gonna find it.
Not gonna find it.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's about the intentionality in the being ultra specific on who you want to target.
Yeah.
Hence, they will become available in the room.
Well, not so much the who, but what is the language around that target? Because nobody, I don't know, in all the years that I've been networking, I have yet to come into an experience where someone's raising their hand and being like, I need a loan.
True.
Anybody want to give me a loan? Because I'm just looking for a loan. I don't see that happening, right? Not in networking spaces, like
Right.
at a mixer, in a bar where we go to network. No one's shouting to the rooftop all the things that they might need. What's really happening here is that people are like eavesdropping. And they might hear
Dropping
something
cues.
that is interesting that alludes to the thing that they need. And most of the time, if I may be honest, people are mis-evaluating needs. They don't really know what they need. And this is why we have to have more intentional conversations, because you have to pull out the need. They don't know. I get into conversations with, I have a game that I play in my business. So a lot of my business is structured around childhood games because I like it, right?
Yeah.
We play like cards.
Keep
So
it fun.
I have a card game that I play. And it's 3 cards, different values, ideas, people, and money. These are the 3 major components that people always say they need. They need more creative ideas, they need to connect with more people, or they need more capital.
Yeah.
Right? We get into this and we'll play the game, and pretty much I could say like 50% of the people are always saying they need more money. And when we get into it and we have conversation, that card flips. It flips really quick because they don't really need money. They need a better idea.
Right.
Or they don't really need money. They need more people to circulate that idea. They don't really need money. 9 times out of 10, people don't need money. They really don't. Everybody picks the money card because they think that's what they need. Just like everybody goes networking and they think they need clients. You don't need clients. You need...
To extract better value from the clients you already have.
No, you need advocacy. You need affiliation.
Yeah.
You need more partners in business. You need more people to share your values. That's what you need. But no one's saying, how can you share me?
Got it. Yeah. In referrals in my business.
No, people are saying, they ask for
Yeah.
referrals, but are you saying, how can you share me? You're asking for a referral, but you haven't even given me the information that I can share.
So how would that messaging sound like?
Um,
If I was asking for a referral, how would I be able to position that better so that whoever is going to introduce me to somebody that will find me valuable will be really, really effective?
It's the removal of asking for the referral and in suiting your values. Really sharing the valuable content right? Where you're like, oh, there's nuggets here. There's pieces that I know if I pull them out of here, oh man, people are gonna eat this up and they're gonna just hit the share button as often as they can, right? The same thing happens in conversation. But instead, we'll waste that space with requests.
Got it. Yeah.
We'll make a lot of requests. Like, who do you know? Do you know anybody? And can you refer me to this? Oh, can you say, can you, can you, can you, can you,
Yeah.
can you, can you?
Like the taking.
But it's not a give or a take. It's just the wrong question. Because either way, you're taking. Either way, if you ask for the referral or if you fill me with your values, you're still taking. You're removing my own values and replacing them with yours when you start to fill me with your values, right? If you tell me, well, Talisha, I help entrepreneurs get loans for their business. Essentially, they come and sit in my office. We have a conversation. We work through their budget.
Right.
We will set them up with a portfolio. We'll get them everything they need so that they can get the capital that they need. Because I know that one thing that entrepreneurs are always saying is that they need more capital. So I'm just here to help them get it, right? And immediately I stopped thinking about what I could do, and I'm like, holy shoot, I just heard. I was talking to a lady yesterday, and she was saying how hard it is to get a loan from the bank. And she went to 3 banks, and she couldn't get a loan. And nobody would approve her. Or the interest rate was so high. There was all these hurdles around banking. And you know what happened? I don't think she said anybody ever sat down with her to create a budget. What's your numbers? I can give you the number so that she can sit and create a budget with you.
So that's the value prop that you are talking about. Yeah, I see that. I
Did
never
you
even asked.
ask me for
I
a
never even
referral?
asked,
I've
yeah.
already imagined how I could give you that.
So it's about just sharing
It's
what I could do.
extracting the give.
Yeah.
Extract the give. Don't make all these requests. People don't know what they can do for you just by you saying, what can you do? They don't know. And when you tell people this and you make requests of people, all you're doing is making them freeze. You're just like, let me think. It's like the web wheel.
So true.
It's like searching.
So true. So true.
And so when people ignore you and they never follow up, it's because they're still searching. When people don't respond to you, it's because they're still searching.
Give them a freaking hypothetical or like a real scenario of what you have been able to do for other people.
Yeah. You got to talk to people in real life terms. You got to give them examples of people that they possibly know.
That's so valuable.
Yeah.
That's so valuable. I appreciate that.
You can't just talk to people and be like, oh, so here, I do this, and you can share me with people if you know anybody. Like people are always saying, oh, you should, if you know anybody, well, I know a lot of bodies. I know a lot of bodies, but I can't think of anybody because I don't really know what I'm supposed to be thinking about.
Right. I don't know what they could use you for.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what they can use you for.
Incredible.
Yeah. I don't know how you want to be used.
Yeah. Beautiful. You and I collaborated on Elevate.
Yeah.
And on Elevate, this is something else I wanted to touch before we move on in our conversation today. It's like you said you wanted to help people get high on branding.
Yes.
Right? So tell me about that.
Yeah, I think
it's the same, right?
Yeah, it's our job to if we're like anything, and I think sometimes we will compartmentalize this concept to just, entrepreneurs are branding. But no, you're branding even if you're working within a corporation.
1000%.
Right? But they've just given you all of their marketing materials, right, and you're out there being the face of the brand.
True.
So it's your job to get people so high that they cannot see anything other than what you're doping them up on. Like really, dopamine. Get people so excited about what you're doing and how you're doing it that they don't have any other option but to go out and share your prescriptions. Like they need to be like, you need to talk to this person because man, it was so good. We have the ability to do the other thing, right? We can turn people off real quick. Yeah. We just had a turn off experience. But you're able to do that, and I think we're more susceptible to turning people off than we are to turning them on. And when we learn how to turn people on, we're in that sticky place, because once you turn someone on, they're on. They're on for a long time. They're running on high speed. I mean, I don't know if I like want to put it in this way, but like, if you've ever seen anybody on drugs, I'm sure you have.
I have.
Like, we live in a world.
Yeah, it's common
it
nowadays.
happens,
Yeah.
right? And willingly and unwillingly, we'll say, but they don't go to bed. Like sleeping.
They're running hot.
They're like high on drugs, right? You're hot. All the sensories are popping. Like, you just can't. You're not removed of energy,
Right.
right? You just have so much energy to do things, and it's like, oh, I can clean, I can eat, I can run a mile. I'm just so full right now, right? So our job in this is to fill people to their optimal, like fill them all the way up. And one thing that really gets us in networking is that we want to shorten conversations instead of extend them. We want to pass the business card, get to the sale, get to the point, so that people can walk away and go to the next thing. Like, no, I'm holding you hostage. You're staying with me until that thing just fizzles out and you're no longer high. But you're going to remember me, and then you're going to come back for your next fix.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing. Like, we want to shorten things. We want things to happen so fast. And we actually need to slow down and take our time, reduce our number, and be more intentional about the experience. Expand the experience, reduce the number.
So actually connect with the people you want to connect to.
Yeah, but we also got to know who we want to connect with.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that we must know before we even begin, right? We must know who we want to connect with, because we will get caught up spending time with people that we can't use.
Yeah.
Because we know people don't know how they want to get used. And if we don't know how to extract the information, then it is a waste of time. If we don't know how we can be used, then it is a waste of time. If we don't know who we want to be used by, then it's a waste of time. Hence why people are like, networking doesn't work.
Doesn't work, yeah.
I just hate it. I hate networking. Well, it's not to hate. It's simply put, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right.
I was having a conversation with some of my staff the other day, and I told them that do not approach networking, and maybe you could tell me whether I did this right or wrong, to not approach it so transactional, because how most people that I've witnessed networking do it is like, all right, transaction based. What is the currency in this transaction? The business card. Here, I'm Alex. Oh, I'm Tollisha. Here's the business card. Transactions completed. Everybody go their separate ways. So I told them, make sure you don't approach this way. Find the people that you want to find in the room, but then invest in the relationship. It's about relationship building and understanding exactly what you want to position, but also who your target client is.
Yeah. Well, not clients. So one thing we must remove is the client from this experience. Nobody in this experience is a client of yours. Sorry. If you thought you were networking for clients, you're absolutely wrong. And that's why you're like, oh, it doesn't work, because you're never going to get a client. Like,
is it for reach?
Getting a client through networking is like finding a needle in a haystack.
That's true, though. It's happened to me.
It's surreal, because we're all in the room looking for the same damn thing.
But it's the guy that knows the guy that knows the girl that knows the business owner, and so on and so on.
So again, advocacy.
Yeah.
The thing that you're looking for in this space is someone to partner with or someone to advocate for you. That's it. So if your transactions are short, there's nothing for me to advocate for or affiliate with. I don't have enough.
Right.
So there's nothing there. It is meaningless, right? So I do think that networking is a transaction, but the way we're transacting isn't effective. We shouldn't go into networking without expectations. We shouldn't go into it thinking that we're not going to get anything from it. And I think those are the wrong ideas that we're bringing into this space. We need to expect to get a return in this space. But what type of return? And what expectations are you setting when you go into the space? So the fact that we're just doing this in happenstance is a problem, because anything can happen in happenstance, right?
Yeah.
So we're not really going to put ourselves in the right places. We're not going to put ourselves in front of the right faces, and we're just going to let happenstance happen. So there's no strategy around this. There's a lack of strategic planning around networking, which is less effective. It is transactional. We're all there to transact something. And we limited the word transaction to monetary exchanges. There's a many different ways of transacting. And if you really want to break down the word transaction, it's a transitional action. It's an action of transition. That's what it is. So networking is especially supposed to be a transitional action. If you're going in and nothing is transitioning, then it's pointless.
Yeah.
If nothing's changing, if there's no.
So we just have to redefine what the currency is.
Yeah. What is the current? And the currency might be money, right? But the person in front of you is not the money. The people behind him is the money. The money's never in the room. The money's never in the room. The money's always outside of the room. How do we get you to go back to the money? How do we get you to go back to the money?
How do we?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Like
How do we do it?
That's
by
the question.
building the relationship, right?
It's not even a building a relationship. Like, the relationship is the reward. It's the last step, not the first. I mean, this build relationship thing. It takes too long. It takes too long. How long have you been married with your wife?
She's gonna kill me, by the way, for you asking this question.
And you're not knowing the answer?
We've been together since I was 16 years old. I'm 32, so 16
Oh,
years.
shit.
Yeah.
You see? This is a long relationship that you've had, right? How long did it take between 16 to marriage?
5 years.
5 years to build this relationship,
Yeah.
right? For you to be committed to it. 5 years that it took for you to build this relationship, for you to commit to, where you're like, oh, well, now I can invest.
I see what
Now
you're
I
saying.
can invest.
I see
5 years?
I see what
Who's
you're saying.
waited 5 years?
I see what you're saying. By the way, you breaking down these ideas, it's actually quite illuminating, because I mean, you keep touching points that are like so common sense, but so ingrained in your mind that they don't work like this at all. So this is good though, by the way. Your message is extremely impactful.
Yeah, like
Who's got 5 years to
wait
Yeah.
for this? The reward is the investment. Imagine how much freeing this relationship that you are in with your wife would have been if you would have made the decision in year 1.
Yeah.
Or in 6 months. Maybe even the night you had your first date. Maybe then you knew that she was your wife. And all these years you just were securing the idea, right? And like, I know that this is my wife, but I just need proof.
Right.
But we have to understand that trust can be ensued in one conversation. You can trust somebody in one conversation. You can use somebody effectively after one conversation. The need to have these repetitive follow-up scenarios and all this extra schmoozing isn't necessary, because if we're really doing this right, people want to be used. And when I think about how I can use you and I reach out to you and it's like, okay, Alex, time for you to be used again. You're like, great. What do you want me to do? And then you know that because I used you and you also deem me as valuable, you absolutely can use me too.
Reciprocity. Yeah.
Right? So what are you going to do? When an opportunity comes in, you're like, oh, I know exactly who to call for this, Tollisha. I'm open to receiving your using. I'm like, yeah, call me again when you another opportunity. If we don't speak for a year, no opportunities came up, it's cool. the relationship is built on reciprocity.
Yeah. So counterintuitive, but so true. Unbelievable.
We're like chasing this relationship and making sure that we tell people happy birthdays and happy anniversaries, but we never even sat down to have dinner.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no real value exchange at all.
like, okay, like you don't even know my wife, but you're telling me happy anniversary. Thanks, but no thanks. Like the whole purpose for us connecting in the first place was because we had something to transact.
Yeah.
We had a transitional action. What was the transition? The transition was you're a loan officer and I need a loan. So, and if I know anybody who needs a loan, I can transition them over to you and you can get into action. And then if you know anybody who needs networking, you could transition them over to me and I could get into action and we could keep reciprocating this action until the end of time.
And transactions are happening all day
And
long.
everybody's happy. We're all happy because we've found each other's value. We're actually using it in a valuable way. And we're building capital because we're doing it. Like, who's going to be like, oh, I'm so sad that you didn't tell me happy anniversary. Like, you got me a paycheck. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you got me a paycheck that I didn't even have to work for. Because you're not sending me invaluable players. You're only sending me people who are valuable. You're sending me exactly who I want to work with. You know exactly what my yes sounds like. And you're sending me people that make me happy. Thank you. Like, honestly, the one thing that we could transact more often is I should be gifting you. Be like, oh, every time that I got a client from you, I should be sending you something in the mail. I'd be like, yes, oh my God, Alex just gave me a $700 paycheck. He gets 10%, maybe even 20. Love that, right?
Right. That's funny. That's an interesting idea also.
Like, we should be appreciating our people because they're actually adding value to our lives, actual
value. Yeah.
in the way that we want the value to come in. Yes, thank you for valuing my family enough to tell me happy anniversary. But what I actually want is to be able to feed them.
Right. To be able to provide for them. So help me provide that value.
Help me provide for my family. Help me in that way. Don't send me thank you notes in the mail. Like, if this thank you is going to help me put food on the table, thank you. And I will truly appreciate that because I'm going to help you put food on yours.
Incredible. As I transition from this, I like to do it because this is like one of my favorite sections in the podcast. It's like, I think we've already done it here today quite a few times, but what are some of the biggest misconceptions you faced when it comes to networking? And I think you've mentioned them all, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest ones that I probably haven't mentioned is that we know what we're doing. It's like, oh, because you've seen results, right? Because you are a married couple and it took you 12 years to get there. You got married, so you know how to do it, right?
Right.
But the fact is it took you 12 years. Like, why? Right? And who am I to say? Me and my husband were together for 10 years before we got married, but the marriage happened 2 years in, honestly. We were married in 2 years. We just didn't do all the logistics.
Yeah, like the formalizing.
Formalizing. We didn't formalize our marriage. But the moment we decided that we were going to transition into a new idea,
you were married.
We were married. As soon as we said that we're no longer going to be casually dating and we're going to be exclusive, we married. We married on this idea. We're working towards a common goal, and everything that we do together is for the benefit of one another. We entered the area of reciprocity as soon as we made that one transition, and we acted upon that. And then all we did was capitalize on that idea over the time. So the relationship has been more rewarding because we keep capping.
Yeah.
We keep capping, right? We said, oh, we're going to be exclusive. And then we're like, okay, well, now we're going to move in together. Woo! Now we're going to have kids. Yeah. Now we're going to get married. Thanks. Yeah, we just keep capping, right? But the relationship itself, we solidified that 16 years ago when we decided that we were just going to be like in it and be reciprocal to it. And the things that we have are going to add value to one another. As soon as you make that decision, guys, you're married. Right?
Yeah, true.
And the same principle goes into business. So the one thing that people share with me all the time is, one, it's always for someone else. It's never for you. It's like, oh, they need that. Someone else needs to know how to do this. It is amazing that you're doing this, but it's good for them. And it's always the younger generation. But the older generation is stuck on paper.
Right.
They just want to do what you said, like this quick encounters, I'll call them.
Yeah.
They're quick encounters, right? When you go to the counter, you pay your money and you get your receipt and you go on.
And you're out.
You don't even need to talk to anybody. You're just like, I got what I want. Here's my paper.
You got nothing.
Yeah.
You got paper.
You got nothing but paper, right? You got nothing but a receipt. And like,
you got a receipt and you never got the transaction.
Yeah, it was an encounter.
Yeah.
It was just an encounter. At the counter, we encountered this, we did this, and we're done. Not a transaction. So I think we're idealizing transactions as encounters. I encounter a lot of people. I don't transact with everybody. Right? I don't make transactions with everybody. Now, when you go to the ATM, that process takes a little time because let's just go through the ATM process. How do you even get your money out of the bank? You go to the ATM. You got to put your card in the ATM before you even get to the money or the idea of the money. They're like, we got to verify who the hell you are. Put your PIN in there, right? And then they need to know, well, what kind of transaction do you want to make today? Are you trying to put money in? Are you trying to take money out? Do you want to just check to see how things are going? Like, what are you trying to do right now? And then you decide. You're like, well, I want to take money out. And then before they even tell you what you could take out, they tell you what you got in. They're like, well, you got this much money in the bank, so how much would you like to take out? And then they serve you even more because they're like, how do you want your bills? Do you want all 5s? Do you want all 10s? Do you want 100? Do you want 50? Or do you want to customize it? Like, the transaction at the ATM is not an encounter. It's a real transaction because there's a whole conversation happening at the ATM.
And highly customized to your needs.
And it's super customized to your needs. Did it take forever for you to build that relationship with the ATM?
A couple minutes.
Yeah. And you trust it.
Yeah.
You trust that when you put your card in, you're going to get what you asked for out. How many people you know count their money out the ATM? Like, after they get it out the ATM, they don't even count it to make sure. They don't verify it.
I could tell you not a lot of people do.
No, they don't, because they heard the machine go, so they trusted the machine counted it.
Yeah.
They trust it. They're like, oh, the machine counted it. It's absolutely correct. On God, it's right, right? And they trust it. They trust the ATM. They trust the whole process of the ATM. ATM doesn't ask you to tell them happy anniversary. The ATM doesn't say, well, remind me when it's my birthday. ATM, like, you don't got to go there and give kisses and hugs to the ATM. You don't have to do anything to the ATM. All you need to do is go there and have the conversation so that you can get what you want out of it, and that it gets what we're doing what each other has to do. Right. We're value. The ATM has value. It makes the money come out conveniently, and it avoids you having to wait in the bank and be frustrated by the line. It has value. You have value in the ATM where you are going there. You're going to get your money out of the bank. We're in a real relationship with the ATM, and it didn't take 20 years.
Very interesting. My friend Tollisha, this has been phenomenal. How do we find you? Could you tell people how do we find you?
Absolutely. So you can connect with me on all social media platforms. I'm going to say the major ones: LinkedIn, Instagram,
and we'll put them right here, by the way.
Facebook, right? And you can just really type in my name, because one of the things that I will share is, for a while I was like, oh, this name of mine, it's so hard. I got to educate people every time. It's just like a nuisance to my life, this name. And when I started to have my business, I'm like, I think I'm onto something here, because there's not many. You're going to type this name in, and more than likely you're going to find my face. So type my name in and find my face. Tollisha Joseph on all the major platforms.
Awesome. What is the best, absolute best piece of advice you could give to the audience to help them transform their lives?
I think be very consistent in working on you every day. Don't think that who you are today is who you're supposed to be tomorrow. Really be open to opportunities and adventures and experience and enjoy life because you only get one. You only get one.
Very true. My friend, this has been super impactful. I'm really happy that we had the opportunity to have this insightful conversation today. I appreciate what you do, and then I'll make sure that I bring some reciprocity to you.
I love that. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching.
Thank you, guys. Cut. What do you think of that?
Oh, that was good.